You go to places like Japan and South Korea who have the lowest birth rates in the world, and they're crammed in to tiny little one-bedroom apartments. They don't want to have kids. What do they call them?
Dual income, no kid.
Yeah. They become dinks.
You're allowed to tell people that they shouldn't have kids. What if you tell somebody that they should? All of a sudden you're a monster. But that was a blessing for all of history. To tell someone, I hope you don't reproduce.
I had a lady tell me the other night on the Whatever podcast that my life would have been much better had I deleted my children.
That's insane.
And you were talking about the birth rates. Like, as much as the cultural issues and everything are a massive contributor, it's also urbanization. You go to places like Japan and South Korea who have the lowest birth rates in the world. Go to Tokyo or go to Seoul, and they're crammed in to tiny little one-bedroom apartments like this. They don't want to have kids, and it's a similar thing in the Western countries. You go into this little one-bedroom apartment, and what do they call them?
Coffin
dinks.
apartments.
Yeah, they say that we're dinks.
Dual income, no kid.
Yeah. They become dinks.
One group. Yeah, we're dinks. And then they make those TikToks. They're like, oh, we're dinks. We don't have kids. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Bro, I got to make a TikTok where I'm like, I don't have a rescue dog. Haha. Like, I don't have to take care of a little animal. Like, oh, this is my rescue dog free life. I don't have to wake up in the morning to take him outside. If you ever did that, people would lose their minds. But if you do the exact same thing about having children, they go, you go, girl.
Oh, yeah. There was a guy that just interviewed people at like some kind of leftist rally, and he was talking about like that they're aborting puppies. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. And they were like, that's horrible.
Yeah, he was explaining abortion as though they were doing it to puppies and how horrible it was. And the people were like, oh my God, we have to stop this. It's so terrible, until they started to slowly realize he was talking about people, and they were like,
it's dark.
It's funny though, the dink thing, it runs contrary to every single kind of a philosopher over the last 2,000 years who's looked at the problem of meaning.
Yeah.
And so I always try to explain it to people like this. Think of it like a survival craft RPG. What makes that RPG so much fun is gathering all the resources and then spending them, right? It's spending all the resources because that's the time sink on this, on this, on this. Once you've built everything, the game's not fun anymore.
That's right.
It's not fun anymore. And one of the things about having a family and kids is that you're out there crafting all the resources, right? And there's a sink. There's kind of this endless sink for resources. And it's like, often what will happen with these people is, well, they get all the things that they want and they have no more fucking purpose or meaning, right?
Well, it's so bizarre, too, because you're correct that every philosopher worth their salt acknowledged that the family unit was the cornerstone of civilization and it gave people meaning. But even the barbarians wanted to have children. They didn't want to take care of them.
Right.
Or they wanted to have them with multiple different women, but they wanted to have children.
Well,
this
they need
idea
those
of
for
I want to
legacy.
end my bloodline so that I can focus on little pleasures in
So I can
life
go to
is
music
so
festivals on the
emasculating and
weekend. Yeah.
embarrassing. It's not even something that stupid people thought hundreds of years ago.
Well, even their demon gods were like, gotta have kids who we're going to torture.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to sacrifice.
That was the
sacrifice.
Yeah, that's the whole
Yeah,
point.
now we've got
right?
people who are like, but I want to go to the Taylor Swift concert and the music festival and everything on the weekends, and I don't really want to have to.
And
think about
it's just
anything
it's a
else.
very decadent lifestyle,
Yeah.
and what it does is it moves away from what we're trying to see in society anyway. Now, it's not a perfect analogy, obviously, the survival craft thing, but the point is what we're talking about is meaning, and meaning. People, if you poll people who have children, things like this, they almost always way higher on happiness index than people who don't. And the reason is because of meaning. You have great meaning that comes with your bloodline continuing. And from an evolutionary model, even isn't that the primary edict?
Yeah, exactly. If you're just an evolutionist, you believe that we're the product of some randomized Darwinistic process, then you should recognize that, of course, that process is going to reward you psychologically for having children. We wouldn't have gotten very far as a species if it didn't. But yeah, they argue that you shouldn't have children, you shouldn't have a family, you're a much better consumer if you don't, so it works for the system. But it's just a very jarring thing. One thing people get horrified by nowadays is if you say something to them like, oh, it would be good if you had a family, or if it would be good if you had kids. That is like a shocking statement that really offends people. But people will constantly say, well, there are some people who just shouldn't have kids. You're allowed to tell people that they shouldn't have kids, which is far, far more insulting.
Right.
But if you tell somebody that they should, all of a sudden
like,
you're a
how
monster.
dare
But
you
that
put
was
that
a
on me?
blessing for all of history to say, to tell someone, I hope you don't reproduce? It's like not a kind thing to say.
Well, and there
I
is.
just had a
you gotta
lady tell
admit,
me the other night on the whatever podcast that my life would have been
yeah.
much better had I deleted my children.
That's insane. She's a sick person, but she's trying to make herself feel better about her own decisions.
Well,
that's why you say something like that.
That's exactly what she said. She said, if I were in your shoes, I would have had a much better time doing that. And it's like, my dad gave me this great piece of advice when I was young. We were talking about some women in our lives that we knew who had like massive self-esteem problems and never gained any self-confidence, and they become these black holes. And he said, they all think that self-esteem comes from other people telling you, oh, you're good enough and you're beautiful the way you are. And he said, that's not where self-esteem comes from. It comes from doing difficult things and persevering and learning that you can trust yourself to handle tough things.
That's exactly right. Like, can I trust me?
Yeah.
Am I able to, not does everyone pat me on the back and tell me how
Can
great
I
I
trust
am?
myself to handle this and
Yeah,
follow through
yeah.
and do hard things? And then as you do those hard things, you build actual self-esteem and actual confidence. And that's something that everyone's lacking. Like
That's
the
right.
younger generation, that's why they're all anxious and depressed and everything. It's like,
they don't
and
even
they
have
don't
social
think they can do
communication
anything.
skills.
No, they can't even talk to
Terrible.
people.
Can't even talk.
There's literally
have-
no communion
Well,
anymore.
they have meltdowns if they have to like work more than 4 hours at a time because it's just they don't believe that they can do anything hard.
I had a friend of mine that for a long time she couldn't call to order a pizza because that kind of interaction was too stressful.
These are the also, by the way, like I'm not saying we shouldn't take the problem of left-wing violence seriously because there are lunatics out there who will actually do it. But just so you know, like a lot of the people threatening you on the internet are afraid to make phone calls.
True.
Like, they are too afraid to make their own doctor's
Well,
appointment.
one thing I'd point out is actually because of the rate of mental illness on the left, the rhetoric that they use is 10 times worse, even if it's similar to that of right wingers. Let's just say it was.
It's worse.
It's still 10 times worse because their appeal is always to that lunatic fringe. It's always to the
right.
craziest people. And those crazy people, they're always in their discords. You ever go to like a Destiny Discord? Oh my God. You ever go to a Vosh Discord? Holy shit.
Hell world.
Like it's hell on wheels. And the lowest common denominator of people. And they're the sickest, craziest people you can imagine. And they're the easiest to influence.
Well, I've said this a number of times on the show. I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but my argument is that leftism is just a word we use to describe the intellectual rationalization for social decay. Whenever someone doesn't want to do what they're supposed to do and they find a highfalutin argument to, cover their laziness or their basically viciousness, they call it leftist theory. Anytime some leftist comes out with a new groundbreaking theory, it's just like why I shouldn't have a bedtime, why I should be able to eat fruit snacks all day. It's just another version of them trying to force their childish
Their idea
ideals.
of rights is always, what can I do that has no duties associated with it that's more degenerate?
Yes.
Right? What right to more degeneracy can I have?
And so the more degenerate a person is, the more likely they're going to gravitate towards it.
Always.
Right,
And,
yeah.
and this is the idea. The
The more
other thing
degenerate it
is,
is, the more right it is.
I don't even think that they have new.
That's right.
I don't even think that they have good arguments or new arguments. You know, that post that went viral on Twitter that 90% of debating with leftists is them pretending they don't know what things mean.
Yes.
And then
Millennial woes.
Yeah, and them pretending that what you're saying is incoherent when it's not incoherent.
Right.
Now, there's people who say incoherent things, but one of the reasons I'm so tough in semantics when I'm debating with leftists is because it holds them
That's right.
to the meanings of what they say. And you've never seen people freak out so bad in your life. I just had this university student, Naima, debated with her, right?
Brutal.
Just getting the semantics in order. You've never seen a person panic and freak out more when I just asked her, what does this mean? So I can hold you to that standard. And just watching them freak out because
That's
they
important.
don't, because they want to equivocate and use ambiguity.
That's right.
So that they don't have to commit to anything. So they just pretend what you're saying doesn't make any sense. And,
And
it's
it's
like
crazy.
these
It's
people
always
are
just
Yeah, these people are
incredulous.
crazy.
And people will say the devil's in the details. I think it's the opposite. I think the devil's in the ambiguity. Yeah. It's always, how can I get away with saying two things at once?
Their most common fallacy in a debate is equivocation. And that's what that is. It's the use of ambiguous language to move between meanings of words
That's right.
when they suit you for the argument that you're making. Now, evil doesn't mean that. It means this. Yeah, right. Now, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Now, homosexual doesn't mean this. It means that. Yes. Now, government doesn't mean this. I meant it as this. And that's why pinning
And you're
them
just
down,
not educated. And then they do the snob, like, you're not educated enough to know what
you don't
government
know?
means now.
Well, that's the thing. And that's why it's so important to pin him down on semantics
That's right.
in the beginning of a debate, because he's absolutely right. They pretend that they just don't understand anything. It's like, fine, if you're going to pretend that, then I'm going to sit at this fucking table till you do.
We share a vocabulary with the left, but we do not share a dictionary with the left. We do
Yeah.
not have the
We don't- or
same-
meaning.
Not the same definition.
Well, yeah,
Or,
same
or
definition.
just plain meaning. Like, even words, every definition has limits, but they still have meanings associated with them. And it's like, can we just pretend? Can we stop pretending that they don't?
But it
Yeah.
was the arrogance, though, of that debate, because the beauty of it was that you got her to, she was so arrogant and she was so like spiteful that she just wanted to argue against everything that you said. So you were able to make her
Argue my view.
against her own worldview.
Yeah, he took on her worldview and argued it as if it was
she had
his
no
own,
idea
and
what
she
was
was,
going on.
and she just condemned it and said it was crazy and said it was
Said it was
awful.
awful, said it
and
was
he's like,
beautiful,
and
beautiful to
that's your
watch.
position.